Yeah.
Here, man. Here. It's here. The video is here.
Where?
Okay. Here. Focus. Okay. Now. Hello guys and welcome to my YouTube channel again. In this episode, we are gonna put this engine back into our baby Supra. Finally. In the previous episode, we assembled the bottom end. Now we are going to see how we get to a full engine. Here I have everything to assemble my head back together. I disassemble everything and I mark all the valves here on this carton so I know where they go on the head. I send the head to be sanded here and flat, to be grinded, back to flat 100%. I clean everything inside and now, if you see, the exhaust valves looking like this. And this is not very good, so I will use a thick pasta, a coarse pasta and a fine pasta, and I will sand it to make it like this. I wish this job had been done by an authorized machine shop, but I'm trying to keep the cost down. When you're trying to keep the cost down, it means that you have to spend a lot of time yourself. The shop that machined the head charged me 1,800 kroner. The cost for the valve job was 4,000 kroner, so in total it would have cost 5,800 kroner. By doing this alone, I saved 3,800 kroner because I also had to pay 200 kroner for the paste to sand the valves. I just finished all the valves here. I really spent a lot of time with the exhaust valves because it was a little bit rough after 190,000 kilometers. I used the drill and I had to use like 3, 4, 5 times maybe the thick pasta, the coarse, and after I just used one time the thin pasta, and I used also the drill. On the intake valves, it was in a perfect condition. I just used my hands and this rubber thing. I used this and I just used one time the coarse pasta and one time the thin pasta, and it was immediately ready. Here you can see everything is nice, and now it will seal. Very nice. Now we have to wash very good. We will wash with brake cleaner the head, because this paste we don't want in our oil. So we will wash very, very good. Now we clean the head, we sand the valves, everything is ready. We need to start to put it back together. So first, I will put these seals that is for the valves, so the oil is not going down to the combustion chamber. And in order to do this, I will take this, is a 10mm socket, that is perfect fit here. We will put little bit oil inside here so we don't damage the seal when we are putting it in. This is the exhaust side, and then we will take it, put it there, put the 10mm socket, and that's it. The intake side is exactly the same thing with the exhaust side. The only difference is that the seals is a little bit bigger. So you have to use the 11mm socket. You gently push it inside with a hammer. You make sure that they are sitting into their place, and after that it was time to put back the valves. In order to put back the valves now, I have already put the exhaust valves in place. First we have to clean the valve, because before we was sanding them. So we will quick clean it. Then we will put a little bit of oil, so it has oil when it goes inside the driver. We put it in its place. I also taped here because I flip the head all the time so I don't scratch the surface. So now, and this is the things we took out. So first it's coming one washer. We clean it a little bit. We drop it inside there. It has to stay in place down there. Then we put the spring. Then we take the retainer and the pins, these clips. So this, the small side is going down. You put one on the one side, one on the other side. And now we will take this tool. We put it under on the valve. Okay. And now we compress it down. We compress and we put the finger here, so this, it stays into place. It has to go all the way down. And there it stays into place. I really got pain in my arm from compressing all 16 valves with this tool, but I finally put all the springs and the retainers back to their place, and I'm one step closer to complete my engine. Guys, now is the time to put the head on the engine. Now, here we will use a Cometic head gasket and ARP bolts. This is a very well-known combo for this engine, and we have to follow what the manual says. This is the head gasket, and here, if you see in the engine, we have put all the pistons in the middle of the bore, so when we will adjust the cam, it will not hit the valves, the pistons will not hit, the valves will not hit the pistons. So now we take our Cometic head gasket. Here it's nice, clean. I have blowed all the holes very good, so it's nothing inside there. We put the head gasket into place. Yes, it's gonna be there, okay. And now what we are going to do, we will put the washers inside their place. The washer on one side, it has this beveled side. So this side is going up. And also it has to be completely dry here and on the head, because when you're torquing down, you don't want the washer to spin, you want the bolt to spin on the washer. So it's completely dry both sides. We put the washer in with the beveled facing up. We take all the washers. Okay, all the washers are in place. And now, if you see ARP has 5 bolts that is long and 5 bolts that is short. So we will put the long bolts is on the exhaust side and the short bolts is on the intake side. But ARP with the kit gives you this special fastener assembly lubricant. We have to apply this on the threads and on the head before we put them in. You make sure this is completely dry, the washer and the head is completely dry between. And now you have to add lubricant on the screws. I think this is enough. And we also need here. And this is a short bolt, is going on the intake side. First we will put all the screws till they're touching on the head. We will put it like that. Here we have the paper that it says the sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But I cannot remember this, so I put it here. I will tighten this on the floor, so my engine stative is not moving around. First is 20 foot-pounds per lib or 27 Newton meter. So here we are. We start. Tighten the bolts requires 3 steps. First is 27 Newton meters, second is 54 Newton meters, and third is 81 Newton meters. It's very important that you follow the sequence because this is what makes the head pushing the head gasket evenly to the block. So this is very, very important. So that was the torquing of the head on the engine block. We will wait 2-3 minutes and we will go one more time with the same torquing spec. But that should be it. This tool makes it easy. And now we have to say special thanks to Stegen Auto at Misen because we have the place and the tools to do our video. One of the last jobs now that is left to make the engine finished is that we have to measure the clearance between the camshaft and the valve. When we grind the valve like we did, we sand away some material of the valve in order to seal good with a valve seat. So that means that when you remove from the valve some material, the valve sitting a little bit more high. And this sometimes make the gap between the camshaft and the valve, it makes it smaller. When it's very small, the problem, if it's a little bit bigger, is okay. Maybe you can listen some noise, clicky, 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 when the camshaft is pressing the valve. But when it's too small, what is happening? That when it heats up and expands, the camshaft keeps open the valve even on the ignition time. And when this happens, when everything is very, very hot, and the ignition happens and let's say the exhaust valve is a little bit open, the ignition burns the valve and the valve seat and then it stops sealing. And this is a big damage because you have to take apart everything and replace the valve seat and the valve and do it all over from the beginning. In order to adjust the gap between the camshaft and the valves, these engines use seams that comes to certain sizes, so if your seams are too big or too small, you have to find out what size you need and order them. The way to find out what size seams you need is to measure the seam you're putting in plus the filler gauge that goes in between minus the clearance that you want to have. This lets you with a number of the thickness of the seam you need to put inside there. I really spent a lot of time with swapping around the seams that I already had, trying to make all the clearances right. But I will measure again after the engine has been driven for 5,000 kilometers and make sure that the gap between the valves and the camshaft is still the correct one. After I was finished with the valve clearances, I put the camshaft for the final time and I torqued them to spec. I put the two seals for the camshaft and finally I set the pistons and the camshafts at the timing marks and I put the timing belt. Now everything can turn as one. When you are timing the engine, the first cylinder needs to be at the TDC at the compression stroke. That means that the valves are closed. There is marks everywhere on the crankshaft pulley and on the camshaft gears. After you put the timing belt, you make sure that all the marks are aligned with each other and you are good to go. Now it's time for the rocker cover. First, I grinded away all the spot welds that was holding the baffle inside. You can see how much dirty is inside there. After, I bought a thread repairing kit for 6mm screws, so that way I can screw the baffle back on its place. After that, I sanded away all the corrosion from the aluminium and I welded the old ventilation hole where was the PCV valve and I made threads for AN10 fittings. I also made an extra hole where is the ventilation on the original glanza. That way I can use an oil catch can and I'm sure that the engine can breathe under boosted conditions. In order to make it nice, I applied one layer with filler, 2 layers with paint, and after half hour I took a blade and I scrubbed away the color on the lines and the Toyota letters. I sanded them with 180 grit sandpaper and finally I applied the matte clear coat. Guys, I just cleaned the thermostat housing. It was looking awful and I couldn't put it back on the engine like this. But now, here at Stegen Auto at Meissen, they have this sandblasting and they have also this machine that is called water polishing. And what it does, it shoots water with a little bit of very, very small sand inside and you pressure wash it and it becomes super clean. And now what I'm thinking, if you look at the intake manifold, it looks awful. And this is not okay to go on our new engine. So what I'm thinking to do is that I will take out the throttle body and I will shoot it with the machine there. I will pressure wash it and we will see how good it will be. But this, it's awesome. So let's see how the 25-year-old intake manifold is going to be. I finished with the water polishing, guys, and look at this. This is amazing. It was looking awful before, and now it's good like new. Almost like new. It's okay, it's 25 years old, but I didn't paint it and it's looking so much better. But first, before we put the engine back into the car, we have to put the transmission on the engine. And we cannot use this old clutch. This is from a natural aspirated engine and it's not meant to be for 200 horsepower that we hope that we are going to have. So I bought from eBay this famous eBay clutch. It's a complete set. It has everything inside. We are gonna have a racing clutch. It's a Clutch Max America. I've seen a lot of reviews for this. Some are very, very good and some are very, very bad, but we are going to find on our own. And also comes with a lightweight flywheel that I think is gonna help our engine to rev faster. So this is the lightweight flywheel. And today I brought help because I cannot lift the engine alone and I cannot put the transmission alone. So now... What is it? So now we are gonna do this. Here is the old flywheel and here is the new flywheel. It has these holes, it's a little bit thinner, so I hope it's gonna help.
After we made everything ready, it was time to put the new clutch on the engine. First we hung the engine from the forklift and removed it from the engine stative.
Now we have to try if our new flywheel fits. It fits perfect. Yeah. That's awesome. So first we have to wash this very good with brake cleaner. And we have also to put this black protection here that it was very, very rusted, and I sandblasted and I painted. Everything on this car takes so much time because it's so old. But now it's looking awesome. So first this has to go on.
After our cover was in place, I cleaned very good with brake cleaner, the flywheel and the pressure plate, and we torque everything to spec. I needed help because it's hard to torque without holding the flywheel. Now that everything is torqued to spec, it's time to put the transmission on.
Now guys, we are going to see if we put right the clutch inside the pressure plate because our centering tool was wrong. That came with the kit, so we spent a lot of time trying to adjust it exactly in the middle, and now is the moment of truth. I think I have all the bolts we forget to put out our new clutch bearing. We have to take it off again. But the good thing is that it's exactly on the center. This is our new clutch bearing. This I have sandblast and paint, so because it was full of rust. Inside here I have washed very good. Now we are going to apply some grease here and here a little bit and here on the back, so we don't have noise when we're pressing the clutch, and I put it back. Our new clutch bearing, I didn't forget this time. Now it seems to work fine. We lubricate it a little bit and off we go, back again. Next is the starter. Without this, we cannot start the car. This goes out, engages the flywheel and turns the engine. When the engine is started, then it goes back in and you continue running with your engine. But this is a very important thing that didn't get so much love. As you see, I've fixed everything, but this probably is going to be replaced at some point, so nobody can see it back here. I don't care.
Finally, the time came. We put back the engine after we did all this job. I cannot wait to start it and make sure that everything is working like it should be. But we have a long way to go. We need to make our turbo manifold, exhaust, intercooler, piping, ECU and fueling. Now the fun stuff begins.
The microphone now is recording, and as you see, our engine is back inside the car.
Guys, I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I really want to thank everybody that is subscribing to the channel and watching my videos. This really gives me energy to continue doing this. So if you have not already subscribed to the channel, please like and subscribe, and I see you on the next one. Bye.
Ρε μαλάκες, δεν αλλάξαμε το ρουλεμάν.